Ayan. Okay, so yeah, good morning. So for today, as mentioned, let me just open the material. Okay, so you have here cost terms, concepts, and classification. Ayan. So ito yung mga i-discuss natin. Now let's see. First things first. Now what's the component of this module? This module will focus on the nature and classification of costs, of course, the way on how you analyze cost behavior, like if they're variable, fixed, or semi-variable. We will also be talking about how to split mixed cost by using the different methods, no, like high-low, scatter graph, least squares, regression. And kung may time pa tayo, pag-uusapan natin mamaya yung cost prediction techniques. Okay, so, ayun. Ano ang cost? Okay, so, what is cost? Basically, cost is anything that is sacrificed. Any benefit that is sacrificed to obtain another benefit. So, it could be monetary or non-monetary. Ayan. Now, in cost accounting, most of the time we focus on monetary cost because, syempre, accounting nga, we cannot account for transactions that cannot be measured, especially if they cannot be measured in terms of money. Why? For consistency purposes, because the end product of accounting or financial accounting is to come up with financial reports. So, yun. That's the reason why we focus on monetary cost. Although, no, there are some non-monetary costs that are not accounted, but still, not because they're not found in our books, it doesn't mean that they are already irrelevant. Okay? In fact, most of the costs that are used for decision making are not found in the books, pero mas relevant pa sila. And again, we're going to discuss more on that. As of this point, I just want to emphasize that cost is what we will be sacrificing to obtain a benefit. Okay, so pag monetary, alam na natin yan. For example, you intend to buy something, maybe a device amounting to 5,000 pesos, then that's the cost of the device. Okay, to obtain the benefit of having that device, you have to sacrifice the value amounting to 5,000 pesos. So that is an example of monetary cost. For non-monetary, okay, let's say, ano ba, the cost of attending this class. Yeah, it's Sunday. It's supposed to be holiday. And hindi pa nga natin alam kung suspended talaga yung classes. Pero imagine if it's actually suspended, we're supposed to be sleeping in. Nagre-relax na sana tayo. Okay, some of you might choose to, Netflix and chill na lang. Sabi ni Dayan kanina, Netflix and chill na lang sana, sir. Kaya nga lang magdi-discuss tayo. So that's the cost of attending this class. No, the benefit of relaxing or staying in your bed sana for an additional hour sana, or maybe half day if you intend to. That's the benefit that you have forgone because you chose to make your life miserable by attending my class. So that is a non-monetary cost. You cannot measure that in terms of money. Okay, now, automatic ba if it's non-monetary, it's already, ano na to? It's already irrelevant, ganon. O kaya porque wala doon sa books, it's automatically non-monetary. Okay, I'll give you an example, no, because that's one of the common questions that I get. So if it's not found in the books, is it automatically considered as non-monetary? Okay, so let's say ayan, you're working graveyard shift. Ayan. Let's say that your duty is from, let's say, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. o 11 to 7 p.m. 11 to 7 a.m. So you're supposed to clock out at 7 a.m. Kaya nga lang when you're about to clock out, sabi ng supervisor mo, Ading, I need you to cover for your coworker shift because they called in today, they will be sick. Ayan, mag-absent siya. Okay, so sabi ng boss mo, anyway, babayaran kita ng overtime, extra premium because this will be additional shift for you. O di ang saya sana, no? For example, if your hourly rate is 500, tapos sige, yung shift mo na to magiging 600 or magiging 700 pesos per hour na lang kasi may absent. Okay, so ayun, that's supposed to be your benefit kay by choosing to attend the shift or to work on the shift. Kaya nga lang, you decided to attend the class. So, sir, may pasok po kasi ako kay Mr. Eroritz ng 7:30. Okay, and I have to attend my class. Because you chose to attend this class, you have forgone a benefit. Okay, it's monetary in nature but it will not be recorded. Actually, that cost, no, is considered as an opportunity cost. Opportunity costs are benefits that are forgone by choosing another alternative. Okay, so ayun, meron na kayong isang cost na alam for today. Okay, first type of cost, opportunity cost. Yan, the benefit which was forgone by choosing another alternative. Yeah? In short, the one that got away kasi hindi mo siya pinili, kaya hindi mo siya napakinabangan. Okay, so ayun. Some things to remember, costs can be classified, no, in a number of ways. First, depending on the purpose of the classification. So ibig sabihin if it's classified for external reporting, iba yung pagkaka-classify diyan, pero for internal reporting, iba rin. Like for example, let's say for external reporting, we all know that advertising expenses are classified as an expense. Talaga, it's deducted against our revenues. But for internal reporting, let's say the focus is for decision making, and you try to consider advertising as more of a commitment of fund because, you know, in the future, you'll be having some benefits. Ayan, meron kang return na ina-expect for this advertising expense. So, siguro, pwede mo siyang i-classify as hindi na siya expense. It's more of an investment na siya because, ayan, diba, that's how investments behave. You commit your funds with the purpose or with the intention of, of receiving returns in the future. Okay, so, ayun. And classification, of course, are not mutually exclusive. It doesn't mean that because it's already classified in this type of classification, it cannot be classified using other types of classification. Like, for example, let's say direct labor. No? Direct labor is a direct cost, pero you can also classify that as as a prime cost, it's a manufacturing cost. Okay? So, ganun. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng walang absolute or walang exclusive, no? Exclusive classification. Okay? Now, for me, if I'm going to classify cost, I normally divide them into two categories muna. You have your GAAP and non-GAAP cost. Now, when we say GAAP, these are your generally accepted accounting principles. Okay, so GAAP costs are costs used for financial reporting. So, any cost that is seen or reflected in our financial statements will be considered as GAAP cost. And any cost that's not reflected in the financial statements, are considered as non-GAAP cost. Ganun lang naman eh. So, intindihin mo yung isa. Pag naintindihan mo na yung isang classification, anything that cannot be classified under that classification will be classified using or classified in a different category. Okay, so ayun. Now, for GAAP cost, it's further divided into two. Ganun na naman yung system natin. You have your manufacturing and non-manufacturing. Dapat alam natin yung manufacturing cost because anything that cannot be classified under manufacturing cost will be classified as non-manufacturing cost. Okay, so what are our main manufacturing costs? Tatlo lang po yan. You have your DM, DL, and O, di ba? So, yun yung favorite ko na para madaling matandaan. You have DM, the dirty man, you have the DL, the dirty lady, and then you have your O. Direct materials, direct labor, and then you have your overhead. Now, when we use the term direct, ibig sabihin, these are traceable costs. Okay, they can be easily estimated. Okay, anything that's not direct will be considered as indirect. So, most of the indirect costs will go to your manufacturing overhead. So, if you have direct materials, indirect materials pupunta sa manufacturing overhead. If you have direct labor, lahat naman ng indirect labor will go to your manufacturing overhead. And any cost that cannot be classified as direct materials and direct labor but still considered as a manufacturing cost will go to your manufacturing overhead. So, eto talaga yung tatlong manufacturing cost natin. Now, before I go to D, I'd like to discuss the details of A, B, and C muna. So when we say direct materials, these are the main components of your product. So let's say you are manufacturing a table. Okay, so gumagawa ka ng table which is made out of wood, di ba? Ano yung materials niya? Baka sabihin niyo wood. O tama naman, wood. Pero dapat yung materials natin, yung direct materials can be measured in terms of money. So first things first, dapat meron tayong methodical way of measuring. Ayan, methodical na nga, way pa siya. Parang redundant yun, no? So there has to be a more systematic way, a more technical procedure. Yung nabasa ko, technical procedure. Okay, something that's uniform, okay, that you can use to quantify your direct materials. And if we're talking about wood, okay, most of the time ang ginagamit natin dito na term ay lumber. Ayan, because lumber can be measured in terms of board feet. Ayan, so meron po tayong board feet. Okay, so kapag yan na yung usapan, okay, madali na nating pag-usapan yung yung kahoy, yung wood na ginamit sa table na to, kunyari. So pwede mong sabihin na ilang board feet yung ginamit diyan. So susukatin mo lang yung dimensions niya. Okay, yung height, yung width, yung length, ano yung thickness dito, dadagdag mo and makukuha mo kung ilang board feet. Bakit kailangan nating ma-measure ito ng consistent? Kasi yan, kapag meron ka ng consistent approach in measuring or quantifying the materials, it can now be easily converted into money. So, alam natin na, eto yung rate per board feet. You just have to multiply and you will now get the financial value of your direct materials. Again, gaya ng sinabi natin kanina, we focus on monetary values. Okay? Kasi yun lang yung kaya nating i-account at ilagay sa financial statements. Okay. So, going back, ano ngayon ang direct materials? This is the main component of our product. In this case, the direct material for this kind of table is the lumber that is used. Take note, direct materials, ito yung used raw materials. Let me write that down. Used. Pag sinabi nating used, nagamit na yan. Okay, kaya anong tawag natin dito? Medyo redundant pag sinabi nating direct materials used. Pag sinabi mong direct materials used, parang sinabi mong masakit yung headache mo doon sa ulo. Diba? So, direct materials, that's already your raw materials used in production. Okay po. Ayan. Now, this is different from raw materials because if I ask you, what's the raw material? It's lumber. What's the direct material? Then that's, let's say, 5 board feet of lumber. Okay, so materials used. Now, for direct labor, ganun din. This is the touch labor kung tawagin. Okay, this is the cost of the labor force. Okay, which has direct contact, okay, with your product. So, for example, eto nga, our product is wooden table. Ayan, made from wood. Made from lumber. Okay? And let's say si Manong Juan, okay, used 2 hours of his time to come up with this table. Okay? So sabi mo, Manong, how long did you tama ba yung ano? Ano 'yon? Yeah, oo. Tama, that's your rate. Yes, you can have your labor in terms of hourly rate or daily rate. Ayan, sige. Anyway, so let's continue. Anyway, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Ayan. Huwag kayong mahiya, hindi naman lumalabas sa audio yung mga questions natin dito. But anyway, let's continue. So, yung direct labor, this is the cost of the salary of the carpenter. Ganun na lang. So, if Manong used 2 hours of his time to come up with this table, and then the rate is 500 pesos per hour, o do you just have to multiply 500 pesos per hour times 2 hours, then that's now 1,000 pesos for your direct labor. Okay po. Sir, what about the salary of the supervisor? Okay, so the salary of the supervisor cannot be directly attributed to the table Pero it's still a manufacturing cost. That's why it's called an indirect labor. Okay? It cannot be traced to the table like ilang beses siyang dadaan sa table. So paano yan? Yung table na lagi niyang nadadaanan. Yun lang naman ginagawa niya. Dumadaan-daan lang, di ba? Nagsusupervise. Okay, so kung ilang beses niyang nadaanan yung table na yun, mas mahal yun kaysa sa table na hindi niya nadaanan. Okay, so hindi po ganun yung costing natin. That's why it's classified as manufacturing overhead because it will be allocated or assigned or applied to all of our outputs. Okay, so if you have indirect labor, of course, we also have indirect materials. Ayan, what about indirect materials? Examples are your varnish, your paint, you have your hardware nails, okay, you have your sandpaper. Ayan, these are all manufacturing materials but they are not the main components of our product. Okay, in fact, okay, we can come up with a table in the absence of these materials. Pero of course, okay, by choosing to use them, okay, we can improve the quality of our product, diba? So, ayan, depende na rin sa craftsmanship at saka doon sa methods na ginagamit natin. Because there are some tables talaga that they don't use nails or hardware nails. 100% wood yun. Okay, so ang ganda ng craftsmanship nila. And then they don't use any varnish or paint. What they do is they just put oil, okay, or i-stain lang nila or i-smoke lang nila yung kahoy. Okay, so yun na rin yung kulay niya. But anyway, okay, so yun. You have your direct materials and then you have your indirect materials. And those will be, wait lang, lahat ng indirect cost, indirect materials, and indirect labor will be classified as manufacturing overhead. Parang may na-miss pa ako. There are some costs, that cannot be classified as indirect materials or direct materials. And indirect labor or direct labor, pero manufacturing cost pa rin siya. Okay, so may naisip ba kayo? Like for example, pinakamagandang example ng overhead. What is over your head right now? Ayan, kuryente, di ba? Yung power, yan. Power and utilities, okay, as long as they are used in manufacturing, they are part of manufacturing overhead. Okay, so, ayun. Now, the total of these two, direct materials and direct labor, is known as your prime cost. Okay, so these are your prime cost. Because in the absence of one of your prime cost, you cannot come up with a product. Even if you have the best materials in town, if you don't have your labor force, ayan, okay, these materials will not become end products. Or vice versa. Okay, you have the most skilled manpower, ayan, pero wala naman tayong direct materials or wala tayong materials, you cannot come up with your product. That's why these are classified as prime cost. Now, your direct labor and manufacturing overhead, okay, they are known as conversion cost. Cost that you incur to convert your materials into finished goods. Okay. Now, if you get the total of the three, okay, direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead, these are now your total manufacturing cost. O, di ba? Prime cost, conversion cost, and total manufacturing cost. Okay, am I going too fast? Pa-thumbs up naman kung okay lang. Okay. So, pwede para bilisan. Ayan. So, let's continue. Anything that cannot be classified as manufacturing cost will automatically considered as, of course, non-manufacturing cost. Okay? And normally, these non-manufacturing costs are your period cost. Now, let's talk about period and product cost. Okay, when we say product cost, these are actually your manufacturing cost. Let me write that down. Ayan. Product cost. Why? Because they are incurred, okay, to come up with a product. Every time you incur direct materials, direct labor, or manufacturing overhead, this will increase the cost of your product. Okay, but for non-manufacturing costs, they are called as period cost. They do not become part of your product. Okay, once they are incurred, they are automatically expensed in the period when they are incurred. Of course, product cost will also become an expense, no, but only when the products are sold. So, sa ngayon, they will become part of our assets, no, as part of our inventories. Okay, and inventories are assets. Pero once these inventories are sold, it becomes part of our expenses as part of our cost of goods sold. Ayun. Okay, so if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask or type them in the chat box. Ayan. Now, more on non-manufacturing costs. Some examples, you have your selling or marketing costs. Alam na natin to, no? Costs that are incurred to sell or market the product. Okay, you also have your administrative costs. Okay, like for example, the salary of the president or the vice president, the salary of office personnel. Okay, so those are all non-manufacturing costs. Kasama na siya sa mga operating expenses. Okay. May question. Sir, paano po yung depreciation expense? Okay, good question. Ganito yan. Saan depreciation expense yan? Okay, if the depreciation pertains to an office equipment, that's a non-manufacturing cost. But if the depreciation expense pertains to a machine used in the factory, kay factory daw, that's used in manufacturing, ibig sabihin, it's a manufacturing cost. And depreciation expenses are not classified as direct materials or direct labor. Diba? Kaya it will become part of, mayon, correct, manufacturing overhead. Yeah, taxes daw. Sir, what about taxes? Okay, so, good question, no? For example, real property tax. Paano yung mga real property tax pala na yan? Okay, so, kung pertaining yan doon sa factory, sa plant natin, that's part of overhead. Pero kunyari, para sa building. Now, this is under the assumption that you can clearly identify where it relates to. So property tax nung office natin, di pupunta yan doon sa non-manufacturing cost. Sir, paano kapag hindi clearly identified? Ayan, pwede mo siyang i-allocate, okay, by percentage. Sir, paano kapag hindi namin alam kung paano i-allocate or immaterial lang naman? Ayan, tama, ikaw na yung sumagot. Immaterial naman yung para dito, okay, para sa isang item. O di i-classify mo siya doon sa tingin mo ay saan siya mas magiging material. Diba? Pero, since immaterial naman yan, ibig sabihin, siguro mag-create lang yan ng timing difference or wala siyang effect overall doon sa profits natin. Kung meron man, konti lang. Okay? So, ayun. Ayan, sige, feel free to type your questions kung meron pa. Ayan, so let's continue. Now, for our balance sheet, okay, ano ba yung difference ng balance sheet ng merchandiser at manufacturer? Well, both, they intend to sell their products. The only difference for merchandiser and manufacturer is that for the manufacturer, they buy raw materials and then they process that into finished goods and then they sell the finished goods. For merchandisers kasi, buy and sell lang sila. So, in their balance sheet, the main difference, I think it's the only difference but the main difference is the inventory. Okay, for merchandiser, you only have your merchandise inventory. For the manufacturer, you have raw materials, work in process. You also have your finished goods. What are merchandise inventory? Alam na natin to, no? These are goods that are purchased with the intention of reselling them. Okay, sa manufacturer, ano yung raw materials? Okay, these are the materials that are waiting to be processed. Okay, so they are in their rawest form. Okay, basta hindi pa na-process, raw materials. If it's already placed in process but it's not yet finished, it's just partially completed, ganon, it's not yet ready for sales, these are called work in process. No? Gaya ninyo, you're still in process, 'di ba? Kasi naumpisa nyo na, nag-enroll na kayo ngayon. Hindi pa kayo graduate. So, it's still a work in process. Pag graduate na kayo, already na kayo, you are now the finished goods. Ayan. When the products are already completed and are available for sale. Okay, so, ayun. Now, for the income statement, okay, one of the difference is the computation of the cost of goods sold. Actually, halos parehas lang yan, pero for merchandising company, the beginning merchandise inventory is increased by the net purchase. Okay, so net purchase dapat yan. And your net purchase is actually computed by adding your purchases. Okay, so if you have your purchases, sulat natin no purchases plus your freight in. Okay, freight in. You'll get your gross purchases. And then if there are purchase returns, allowances, and discounts, your period. Okay, you deduct them and then you'll get your net purchase. Tada! Okay, so yun yung idadagdag natin dito. Plus net purchases equals your tigas, your total goods available for sale. Okay, hindi mo nabenta. Yung hindi nabenta will go to your ending inventory. So, yung nabenta mo will be your cost of goods sold. For a manufacturing company, you have to compute for your cost of goods manufactured. Mamaya papakita ko yung cost flow nito, no? Kung paano nako-compute yung cost of goods manufactured na yan. Kasi you have your inventory from raw materials, kay makukuha mo yung direct materials, may flow siya papuntang work in process, tapos papuntang finished goods. Sa finished goods, yan, doon pupunta yung cost of goods manufactured coming from work in process. These are the goods that are completed during the period. So, pupunta yan sa finished goods. Ito pala siya, yan. May dadagdag siya to compute for your total goods available for sale. Okay? So, ito siya actually. Sorry, na-excite ako. Andito pala yung discussion. Okay, so anyway, let me start now from the top. Okay? This is just cost flow for your raw materials, okay, work in process, and finished goods. Paano ba to? Normally, your raw materials, okay, the story of your raw materials will start in your warehouse. Okay, your work in process naman happens in the factory, while your finished goods, okay, it could go back to the warehouse na pwede mo siyang i-store, or it could go to your sales room because it's now available for sale. Okay, so upo ng maayos, hinga ng malalim. Let's start. These are inventories. Okay, so since these are inventories, they are assets, and we expect that there will be beginning and ending balances. We all know what are beginning and ending balances, di ba? So, for a current accounting period, ayan, if you started with this amount for a given account, that's the beginning balance. And at the end of the year or at the end of the month, if this is the balance or the value for this account, that's the ending balance naman. Now, take note that your ending balance for this month will be the beginning balance for next month. Okay, so ganun. From period to period yan. So, kung ang usapan natin ay yearly, o the ending balance for this year will be the beginning balance for next year. Okay. So, ayan. These are assets. The normal balance is debit, of course. Sir, bakit naka-credit yung ending balance? Well, just to observe the rule that the total debit will always be equal to your total credits, okay? So, para ma-maintain natin yun, we put the ending balance on the opposite side. But it doesn't mean that the ending balance will have a credit balance. Pinost lang natin sa credit side, okay? Para mag-balance yung debit credit. Okay po? So, let's continue. Charan! So, you had your net purchases to your raw materials, okay? Once you have your net purchases, di ba? Yan yung start ng kwento eh. Dadami na ngayon yung raw materials that is available for use. Okay, so that's your timao. total materials available for use will come from your beginning balance and of course your net purchase. If you will use all of this for the current period, all of that will become direct materials. But okay, if they are not used, okay, some parts will go to your ending balance. The amount that is used for the period will now be classified as direct materials. Okay, so that's your raw materials used. Okay po? Okay. Now, another way to present this, okay, is to come up with the T accounts for your raw materials, wherein you have your gross purchase that will increase the beginning balance, plus of course your freight in, pinakita ko na to kanina, okay, less your purchase returns, allowances, and discounts on this side. Okay, so para magbalanse yan, okay, you get the direct materials on this side. Pero take note, the total is just the total. Wala pong pangalan yan. Okay, this one right here, etong tatlong yan, okay, eto actually yung net purchase natin. Okay, so siya po yun. Ayan, kung saan kayo masaya, masaya na rin ako. Okay, pero I prefer the first approach kasi nai-reflect na mabuti yung total materials available for use. Now that you have computed for the direct materials, okay, so that's TMAO, total materials available for use, less the ending balance, you get the direct materials. This will now go to your work in process kasi nagamit na siya. Of course, this will only become a finished good, no? Finished goods yan kapag meron ka ng conversion cost. So, you have to add your direct labor, okay? These two are your prime cost. Review lang. You also have your overhead. Overhead and direct labor is conversion cost. Now, the total of these three is called, yes, total manufacturing cost. Okay, now, if you add your beginning balance in the work in process, okay, so, sir, bakit ganun? Bakit may beginning balance? Yes, because, as discussed earlier, work in process are the goods that are already started. They are not yet completed. They're just partially completed. So, if you were not able to finish what you have started last period, then you have a beginning balance for this period. You can finish this period. Plus, of course, what you have started this period. So, the beginning balance will actually reflect what you haven't finished last period, which you can finish this period. While your TMC is the cost of what you have started this period. So, if you get the total of the two, you get the total cost placed in process. Cost that you incurred. Placed in process but not yet completed. Okay, if it's completed within the period, that's your cost of goods manufactured. If it's not completed, okay, not all of it is completed, no? The part that's not completed will go to your ending balance, na beginning balance natin yan next period. The part that's completed will be your cost of goods manufactured. Yay! Na-compute na natin yung CGM. Okay, CGM or cost of goods manufactured. Ulitin ko lang, TMAO, that's total materials available for use. TCPIP, the total cost placed in process. Okay, CGM is cost of goods manufactured. So, if it's already manufactured, it's ready for sales. Charan! It will now go to your finished goods. You add that with your beginning balance and you will get the total goods available for sale. That's your tigas. Okay, the part of your total goods available for sale, the part that's not sold will become your ending balance. And the portion that is sold is your, of course, cost of goods sold. Now that it's sold, it will go out of this flow. Hindi na siya inventory, hindi na siya asset. It will now become part of our expense. Okay, that's the time you remove that from your inventories. It will become part of your expenses na charge against your revenues. Okay po? Whew. Okay, so yun nga. These three items, these are inventories, so they are found in the balance sheet, while your cost of goods sold will be found in your income statement. Yan. Now, these are your manufacturing costs. What about for non-manufacturing expenses? Okay, like for example, administrative cost, other operating expenses like selling, marketing, these are all part of your income statement then. Because these are period cost or non-manufacturing expenses, non-manufacturing cost, ayan, they are expense in the period when they are incurred. Magkakasama na sila ng cost of goods sold. They will be charged directly against our revenues. Okay, so, ayun. Now, let's just continue. Side topic lang. Sir, what about the cost incurred during idle time? Like, for example, yung direct labor. Sir, what if your labor workforce, labor na workforce pa, they're all present but the production stopped because some of the machines broke down or meron tayong power failure or the materials did not arrive on time. Okay? But since they are present, we're supposed to pay for them. Will they be considered as direct labor cost? Now, take note that direct cost should be directly attributable or they should be traced to our products. But since there are no outputs or there are no products during idle time, this labor cost or direct labor cost will be classified as part of our manufacturing overhead. Same with overtime. Yan, the overtime premiums for all factory workers are considered to be part of manufacturing overhead. Why? Because again, no, ang kon naman dito ay, paano ba? How do I simplify this? Let's have an example. Let's assume that your daily quota is 10 units. Okay, so you have unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. Okay, 8. Wala na, tapos na yung araw mo. You're only able to produce 8 units for one day. Okay, but the quota is 10. So sabi mo, why don't we work overtime? Let's work overtime for unit 9 and unit 10. Okay, syempre, for units 1 to 8, okay, you will be paying your manpower using the regular rate. But for units 9 and 10, okay, there will be additional pay for them. That's the overtime premium. Okay, so if you trace the cost for these products, you will end up with 10 different 10 units, okay, 10 output, pero unit 9 and unit 10 will be more expensive. Bakit? Because they are worked on an overtime basis. While units 1 to 8 are cheaper kasi regular rate lang sila. But they all have the same characteristics. Diba? So if you're going to sell this using the same markup percentage, you can't sell this for a higher price. Bakit siya mas mahal? Kasi na overtime. Bakit mas mura yung 1 to 8? Kasi hindi siya na overtime. Okay, so hindi po pwede yun. Instead, the overtime premium for units 9 and 10 will be distributed to all of them. How do you do that? The premium will be considered as overhead. Okay po? So, ayun. Take note ha, it's just the premium, not the entire rate. What do I mean? For example, the regular rate is 500 pesos per hour. Okay, and because you will be working overtime, okay, let's say plus 20%. So 20% of 500, that will be 100, okay? So ang overtime pay na natin or overtime rate is 600. So what will be allocated to all of these products is just the overtime premium, which is 100. Okay po? Okay, so that's for your overtime cost. Of course, other labor fringe benefits, since it's really difficult to trace this cost, or they could be traceable, but it's immaterial or konti lang naman, you can just classify this as part of your overhead na lang. Okay. Now we are still in the classification of cost, no? There are cost classification as to accounting period. Okay, when we say capital expenditure, these are outlays, no? Out of pocket cost yan, classified as an asset because the benefit is more than a year. Then, pag revenue expenditures naman, the benefit is less than a year. So, ine-expense na natin siya. Product cost and period cost were already discussed earlier. So, product costs are inventoriable costs. Every time you incur them, okay, the value of your products will also increase. They become part of our assets, but once they are sold, they become part of our expenses. As cost of goods sold. While period costs, they are expense in the period when they are incurred. So, ibig sabihin, these are non-inventoriable costs. Okay, so gaya nito, going back to our basic cost flows, these are your product costs, while these are your period costs. Costs. Let's continue. You also have your cost as to behavior. Okay, you have your variable cost, okay, which is dependent on the level of activity. Ibig sabihin, we have a cost driver. So, it varies in total depending on the cost driver. But then, per unit, it's fixed. The opposite is fixed cost. Okay, it varies per unit, but it's constant in total. My favorite example here is, your Unlitex, no? What's the cheapest Unlitex? I think it's 10 pesos. Okay, 10 pesos, Unlitex is a fixed cost. Why? Regardless of how many text messages you send, it's still 10 pesos. Pero, okay, the more text that you send, okay, the cheaper it gets per text. Imagine, 10 pesos. Ano ba yung cost per text dati? It's piso, di ba? Now, let's say you use that 10 pesos to text or to send text messages for, let's say, 20 people. 10 divided by 20, about 50 centavos na lang. Okay, if you use that to message 40 people, 10 divided by 40, about 25 cents na lang. Okay, so the more text messages that you send, okay, the lower will be the cost per text. Diba? So, it's constant in total, it's still 10 pesos, pero it is decreasing at a decreasing rate. Ang pure variable naman is, let's say, you did not apply for Unlitex promo. Okay, so, ang ginagamit mo ay 1 peso per text. Regardless of how many text messages that you send, it will still be 1 peso per text. And then, in total, it will be increasing. Siyempre, directly proportionate to the number of messages that you send. You also have your semi-variable or semi-fixed. Okay, these are your mixed cost. It has mixed and variable components. You have your step fixed cost. Okay, they are fixed cost, but at some point magbabago siya. Okay, fixed only within a certain range. Like for example, you have your magandang example dito? Refrigerated warehouse for ice cream. Gutom na ako. Gusto ko ng ice cream. Ayan. So, naalala ko lang kasi refrigerated warehouse. Let's say that you are renting a refrigerated warehouse at, let's say, 20,000 pesos a month. Okay, and the capacity for that warehouse, let's say, is 1,000 gallons. Ganun na lang, para madali lang yung mathematics natin. 1,000 gallons of ice cream. So, if your output is, let's say, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900 gallons, 1,000 gallons, fixed pa rin yung manufacturing, yung refrigerated warehouse na rent natin. But let's say, for this period, your output exceeded 1,000 gallons. Okay, so naging 1,200, 1,300. You need an extra refrigerated warehouse for that. So from 10,000, magiging 40,000 na kung dalawang refrigerated warehouse yung i-renta natin. Diba? So, it's a fixed cost only up to a certain range. Pag tumaas siya, okay, additional fixed cost. But the behavior is still fixed cost. Okay? That's why it's called step fixed cost kasi para siyang hagdanan. Now, most of the time, we analyze them linearly. Pero normally, in actual practice, costs are non-linear. Okay, it may increase at a decreasing or increasing rate. Parang kuhan yan eh. Ano ba magandang example? Alam niyo yung hollow blocks? Sino yung mga nagpagawa na ng bahay? Ayan, or may experience sa hollow blocks. Okay, so kunyari, bili tayo ng hollow blocks. Bago ka bibili, magka-canvas ka muna saan yung mura. Okay, they have the best price, they have the best quality. It doesn't break as easy as the other hollow blocks, 'di ba? Na yung iba hahawakan mo pa lang nag-crack na, parang buhangin lang pala na ano no, na nabasa. Okay? So, ayun. And then kasi nakahanap ka ng isang supplier. Okay, so sabi mo, di bili nga po ako ng ilang pieces. Okay, so tataas yan. Habang dumadami yung binibili mo, tumataas yung cost. Hanggang sa dami mo nang binibili, pabalik-balik ka na, kilala ka na ng owner. Anong sasabihin ng owner pag kilala ka na? Sige nga. Meron ba? Tama, discount. O ikaw dahil ikaw lagi bili, akin na ako bigay 5% discount. O di ba ganun sila, no? Ay, suki kasi. Dahil ikaw, suki ha, ako bigay 5% discount. Ang tawag natin doon ay loyalty discount, which is accounted as a trade discount. It's not recorded in our books, pero it's deducted against the cost of our purchases. Okay, so, syempre habang dumadami, dahil may loyalty discount ka, so, yung total cost niya medyo liliit. Tapos palit ng palit kasi palaki ng palaki yung discount mo. Loyalty discount eh. Hanggang sa ang dami mong binili. Ano ulit yung sinabi ng owner? Ha, dahil ikaw dami bili, akin na ako bigay dagdag 10% discount. That's your volume discount naman. Volume discounts are also trade discounts. Again, they are not recorded. No, but they will be deducted against the overall cost of our purchases. O dahil lagi kang bumabalik, dami mong binibili, yan na ngayon yung behavior ng cost natin, paliit ng paliit. But then at some point, sasabihin niya, sorry ha, hanggang dito lang aki benta sa'yo ha. Gusto mo, punta ka aking pinsan. Yan, mas malayo. Kasi inubos mo na yung hollow blocks ko. Okay, so dahil mas malayo, or baka mas pangit yung quality, okay, so yung cost ng products ng purchases mo medyo tataas na naman. So this is a curvilinear behavior of our cost. Okay, although it's non-linear, we analyze only within a relevant range, and within this range we assume that the costs are linear para mas madali natin siyang ma-forecast, ma-predict, ma-estimate, ma-evaluate at ma-analyze. Okay, so yun lang naman. Most costs are non-linear, but for analysis, okay, we assume that they are linear. Okay. Quick illustration, ayan, para ma-refresh naman tayo saglit. Now, before I continue, do you have other questions pala? 1 minute, ayan, to type your questions in the chat box. Kung wala, gising pa ba kayo? Okay, sige, ako na lang may question. Pwede ko bang bilisan pa or gusto nyo mas mabagal ng konti? Sakto lang daw. More jokes na pampagising daw. Okay. Try ko pero masyado kasi akong seryoso na instructor. Hindi ako basta-basta nagjo-joke at nagpapatawa. Ayan, kaya I'll do my best. Ayan. Ha 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 her. Okay. Salamat sa contribution. Ayan. Yan ang comment of the day. Ha 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 her. Okay, sige, ano to? Taran! X and Y axis. This is your variable cost in total. So, ibig sabihin, okay, your total variable cost will increase depending on your cost driver. Pero, variable cost per unit, it's constant at any level of operation. Ito, let's assume that the cost driver is your quantity produced. Okay, so, ayan. Ano pang meron? This is your fixed cost. Okay, your total fixed cost is constant in total. Pero per unit, it is decreasing at a decreasing rate. Ayan, dito actually yung yung dito nag-umpisa yung economies of scale, no, kung tawagin. Naalala nyo pa ba yon? Economies of scale, di ba? Normally kasi ang labor ay variable in nature, but in some countries dati, like apat yun Japan, France, Germany, and there's one more. Japan, France, Germany, and China. Ayan, naging fixed ito. Ang ayon sa aking bubuit, ang usap-usapan ay ganito yung history kasi niyan. They'd like to measure, or hindi pala measure, they'd like to improve the rate of unemployment. Ayan, gusto nila mapababa yung rate of unemployment. So, sabi ng government, sige, kausapin natin itong mga may business. Okay, ang gawin natin ay i-require natin sila na dapat kapag ganito yung assets mo, ganito yung operations mo, and this is your revenue, this should be the minimum number of employees that you should hire. So initially there is a resistance, of course, coming from the business sector na 'di ba? We only need 10 people, how come we're required to hire 20 people? O di ang laki na ng gagastusin namin. Okay, pero eventually pumayag sila kasi although wala silang ginagawa, babayaran mo, ang panghagal nila doon ay sige, if we are required to pay them even if they are not working or minimal lang yung output nila, dapat if they work overtime, we're not going to pay them overtime rate. Okay, so because of that, naging fixed cost na yung labor nila. And because it's fixed cost, it can be optimized. So if we jump to economics, no, normally we're supposed to produce only within the demand because producing beyond the demand cannot be sold, di ba? That's the general rule. Pero sabi ng mga analysts, but wait, sabi niya, if we produce more than the demand, okay, and our product will become cheaper because of high levels of production, di ba? Fixed cost, no? The higher the quantity, the lower the fixed cost per unit, which will result to lower product cost. Ayan. So, if it's cheaper, perhaps it will create a new demand. Ganun naman tayo, di ba, sa psychology. Hindi mo kailangan, pero dahil afford mo, feeling mo parang kailangan mo. Ayan. Binubudol mo yung sarili mo kasi afford mo na siya. Diba? So, ayun. Maybe we can increase our sales, we can increase the demand. So yun yung ginawa ng mga nasa bansang ito, no, especially in China. So they engage into mass production resulting to more affordable. That's the term, I'm not using the term cheap. Okay, I'm using the term affordable. More affordable products, and because their products are now more affordable, okay, there are now more demand for their products. So now it's cheaper, and of course, profits will go up because of this. Di ba? So, ayun. Yun yung tinatawag natin na economies of scale. Okay. Ayan pala. What's this? This is your total cost. Okay. That point, kung saan siya nag-intersect sa y-axis, that's your fixed cost. And the difference of these two will be your variable cost. Okay, that part right there is your fixed cost. There are other approaches on how you can reflect this cost curve. Cost curve pero linear naman. Okay, that's the traditional. No? This one is the traditional. This one is the alternative. I've seen this under CMA reviewers. Okay, pero it's still the same. It's just that the fixed cost function is now parallel to your total cost function. Okay, and this part right here is your variable cost. These are your costs. They are non-linear, okay, in practice, pero since we only analyze within the relevant range, okay, we assume that they are linear. So that's now the relevant range. Okay, so other cost classification. As to activity, you have your direct costs. They can be specifically identified or traced, okay, they can be estimated. Indirect cost, they cannot be estimated, or there is a way to compute that, kaya nga lang it's impractical. Okay, it's impractical, so i-classify na lang natin siya as indirect cost. Now, what do I mean impractical, no? Versus impossible. Like for example, varnish, it's impossible to trace the cost of varnish going to each of your products. Okay, that's why we assign or estimate. Ang impractical is, for example, you'd like to estimate the cost of the power. Ayan, power consumption for each table. So, how will you do that? Okay, well, you have an option. Each table will have their own power meter, okay, na kung saan sinasaksak yung mga power tools. But, come on, baka mas mahal pa yung power meter kaysa doon sa table, di ba? Okay, so, it can be done but it's not practical. So, gawin mo na lang siyang indirect cost. You also have your common cost, okay, cost that benefit more than one activity or segment or department. Like for example, the salary of our dean, okay, benefits the different programs, okay, under that department. Okay. Now, you just have to take note that, okay, if there are common costs, there are also traceable costs. Common costs are not reduced by removing one department or one activity, but a traceable cost can be reduced or removed by removing one activity or one department. Ganun. Joint costs naman, these are costs that are incurred, when we are producing different products, okay? And there is a common process for these different products. So, for example, sardinas, ayan. Gutom na talaga ako. Hinuli siya. So, that's point A. Nag-fish ka, hinuli siya, nilinisan siya, okay, chinap siya, prepare siya, niluto siya, and then nung naluto siya, at some point, etong part na to, magiging fried sardines. Etong batch na to or part na to, magiging, hot and spicy. Sardines in tomato paste. Okay. Spanish sardines, and so on and so forth. So, you have different products. But, okay, they shared a common process. All costs, all costs that are incurred in this common process are called joint costs. Ayan. And the point na kung saan nag-iba-iba yung mga products mo, these are now what we call your split off points. Okay, so, ayun. Cost as to managerial influence, you have your controllable and non-controllable. When we say controllable cost, these costs are subject to influence. They can be changed, okay, by coming up with a decision. Like for example, mga short-term costs. Let's say insurance, which is good for 1 year. Advertising expenses, that's good for 1 year or less. Okay, so yung mga ganun. The difference is non-controllable cost. Ayan, so it's just the opposite, you cannot influence this by coming up with a decision. Most of the time, non-controllable costs are assigned costs, okay, mga committed costs, these are non-controllable costs. Okay, now common cost can also be part of your non-controllable cost kasi hindi naman ikaw yung nag-i-incur nito, ina-allocate lang sa'yo. Okay, so ayun. Nabanggit ko na yung committed cost. One example of a committed cost is you have your depreciation. Yun na lang. Bakit? Kunyari ngayon, you decided to buy an equipment and the estimated life for that equipment is 10 years. So because of your decision now, you are committed to incur a depreciation cost for the next 10 years. Okay, so that's a committed cost. And it cannot be easily reverted. Hindi siya pwedeng basta-basta bawiin. Okay, by coming up with a decision. That's why it's called committed cost. But, okay, if you can change or avoid or reduce, this cost by coming up with a decision, it's called a discretionary cost. Okay? So, ayun. You also have your cost for planning and control, budgeted, historical, and standard. Pag sinabi nating budgeted, these are your total future cost like budgeted labor cost, di ba? 500,000. Budgeted materials cost, 700,000. So, total yan. Pero pag sinabi nating materials cost is 700 per unit and labor cost is uh, 500 per hour, okay, that's now your standard cost because these are predetermined and expressed per unit. Now, both budgeted and standard costs are somehow historical in nature, future-oriented, okay? Ang historical naman, it's the opposite. No, past costs, they are sunk costs and are irrelevant in decision making. Talking about relevance. Pag relevant, this cost will have an impact in decision making. Okay, and a cost can be relevant and irrelevant at the same time. Okay, for example, no, ano ba? Oh wait, before I give an example, one of the things that you have to remember is that a cost is relevant if it is avoidable. Diba? If it's avoidable. Regardless of its behavior. Kasi may mga materials na, it's relevant because it's variable cost or it's irrelevant kasi it's fixed cost. That's wrong. Okay, because a variable cost can be avoidable depending on, or not avoidable, depending on the type of decision. So, let's have an example. Kunyari, ano ba magandang example? For those who are not from Baguio, okay? So, for example, you came from other provinces. So, nung graduate ka, sabi mo, where will I study? Okay, will I study in Baguio or in my hometown? Okay, if I study in Baguio, then I have to incur board and lodging expenses. If I study here in my hometown, I will not be incurring board and lodging expenses. So, yung boarding house na lang, which is a fixed cost. Okay, so with that type of decision, is it possible to avoid the fixed cost, which is boarding expenses? The answer is yes. Diba? If you chose to study in your hometown, you don't need to spend for board and lodging expenses. Okay po. Pero you decided to study in Baguio. Okay, so your next decision now is, where are you going to study? Here in Baguio, there are only 2 schools in Baguio. Okay. So ano yun? You have UC and other schools. Ayan. So you decided to study in UC. Question, is the cost for board and lodging still relevant? Hindi na. Because regardless of the school, diba, you will still incur board and lodging because you did not study in your hometown. So you see, doon sa first decision, it's avoidable. Pero sa second decision, it's unavoidable. And that is a fixed cost. Ganun din sa variable costs, okay? The relevance is not based on the behavior. Kunyari, sa umaga, ano kaya? Am I going to commute or am I going to use the car? Okay, if I use my own car, it will be more convenient. Yan, I'll be driving on my own pace. Okay, marami akong pwedeng baunin na pagkain, yung damit, yung gamit. Hindi ako mahihirapan na pipila. Kaya nga lang, it's cheaper to commute. When I commute, I can sleep or listen to a podcast, parang ganun. Hindi pa masakit sa ulo. Okay, and I don't have to spend on fuel. So the cost of fuel is relevant because it can be avoided. Okay, if I choose to commute, I will be avoiding the fuel cost. But if I'm going to use my own car, I'll be spending on fuel. Okay? So it's avoidable. Now it's relevant. Okay, but what if my next decision is, let's say I decided to use the car and my next decision is, ano kaya, am I going to use the Ford EcoSport, which is 1500 or 1.5, and another car, let's say CRV na 1.5, same machine, same consumption, okay? So the variable cost, which is the fuel, okay, for the gasoline, no? Yung gasoline cost natin, it's variable, pero this time it's irrelevant because you cannot avoid this cost. Okay na. Ayun, okay. So, may mga nagre-react. So, ayos. Siyempre, if it's not relevant, then it's irrelevant. Walang impact sa decision making. And as mentioned earlier, a cost can be relevant and irrelevant at the same time depending on that type of decision. By the way, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. You can type them in our chat box. Or if I'm going too fast, may gusto kayong ipaulit, ayan, i-type nyo lang. Okay, so let's continue. Ang running time pala natin ay 1 hour na. No, 1 hour and exactly 5 minutes. Kaya pa? Okay, sige. Sige, let's continue. Differential costs naman, these are costs that differ between alternatives. Like, for example, ano ba, if I choose to use, let's say, my Ford EcoSport, tas kunyari lang, this is just an example, no? Ford EcoSport versus, ano, may matakaw na gas, ay sa gas, Volkswagen. Ayan, nagbo-Volkswagen ako na parang times 2 yung fuel consumption niya, kaya at same speed, naku, patay. The difference in the cost of my fuel between these two cars will be considered as my differential cost. So it really depends on the comparison, no? Pwedeng maging positive or negative yan, kaya depende sa kung ano yung direction ng comparison natin. Incremental cost naman, these are cost that, paano ba? How do I simplify this? Balik tayo sa differential cost. If the direction of comparison from A to B means there is an increase in the cost, that's incremental. Pero pinag-compare mo si B to A, bumaba yung cost, that's decremental. Okay, marginal cost naman, this is the cost for additional cost, cost per additional unit produced. So, di ba that's the standard unit cost? Parang, pero take note that there is an effect coming from your fixed cost, especially fixed cost per unit. So assuming that paano ba to, alam ko na. Let's use your Unlitex, 10 pesos, no? 10 pesos. You use this 10 pesos Unlitex to send 10 messages. So effectively, the cost per message is 1 peso per message, correct? Now, if you intend to send one more text message, it doesn't mean that the cost is 1 peso pa rin kasi madidistribute na siya sa 11. So, ganon, mas mababa. So, imagine if there is a mixture of variable and fixed cost. Yung fixed cost, ganon yung behavior niya. So, if the cost per unit is 100 pesos and you intend to produce one more unit, it's not 100 pesos na, it's lower than 100 pesos because it will have a lower fixed cost per unit. That is now your marginal cost. There are costs used for analytical process. Hindi, continuation pa rin pala to. You have your avoidable and unavoidable. I think this is already discussed earlier. Avoidable, it can be avoided by choosing another alternative. Okay? Unavoidable, okay, it cannot be avoided. So regardless of the decision that you make, you will still continue to incur these costs. Of course, any avoidable costs are relevant in decision making, while unavoidable, irrelevant. Out-of-pocket costs naman are costs that require current or future cash outlay. Babayaran mo siya. Okay, imputed cost, it does not require cash outlay. Pero, okay, parang meron siyang implied cost or meron siyang implied value. Like, for example, let's say, ano ba magandang example dito? Oh, let's say you want to buy a laptop. Yun na yung naisip ko, sorry ah. I want to buy a laptop. The cost is, magkano ba? 100,000. My gosh, mahal. 100,000 pesos. But for me to spend 100,000 pesos, I have to withdraw this money from my bank, which is currently earning 4%. Let's say my money is in GoTime. It's currently earning 4% per month. Okay? Because I chose to use this money in buying a laptop, even if I only used 100,000, mas mahal siya because of the lost interest. You remember opportunity cost, a benefit forgone by choosing another alternative. So because I used my money which is currently earning an interest of 4%, that 4%, okay, is also considered as an imputed cost. It did not require any additional cash outlay, but it is a benefit forgone, 'di ba? Which makes my laptop more expensive because of the interest lost. Ayun. Okay, so that is an example of imputed cost. Okay, kunyari nag-enjoy pa ako. We we also have opportunity cost. It's already discussed, no? Benefits that are forgone by choosing another alternative. Ayan, ano na ulit to? The one that got away. Kasi iba ang pinili mo kaya hindi mo napakinabangan. Okay, so yun. You also have your sunk cost. Okay, sunk costs are historical cost. They are already incurred. Thus, it's unavoidable and therefore ano ba? Irrelevant. They are irrelevant in decision making. You also have your quality costs. Okay, what are these? These are the costs incurred to maintain the quality of our products or our services. There are four kinds. You have prevention cost, appraisal cost, internal failure, and external failure. So, when we say prevention cost, hatiin nga natin ito. Ganito kasi yan. Charan! Okay. For prevention and appraisal cost, these are incurred, okay, during the process. So you incur this prevention cost so that, okay, you will prevent possible factors that will affect the quality of your product, like constant training for your manpower, machine maintenance. Okay, these are all prevention cost. Appraisal cost naman, okay, they are incurred to check if you are still producing the quality required, no, by the process. Okay, so this is still done during the process. Like if you are into manufacturing cell phones, kunyari, okay, you have the twist test, diba? The twist test for the screens. You have drop test for IP ratings, you know, to improve the dust proof and waterproofing of your products. You have your heat test. Okay, so ayun, these are all part of your appraisal cost. Once the process is already finished, okay, but before delivery, i-check muna naman yan. Okay, like for this batch, okay, kukuha ka ng 5%. Okay, so 5% dapat walang error yan. Or kung may error man, dapat hindi lalampas ng 5%. Parang ganun. So that cost in checking, that's part of internal failure cost. Now, if it's proven that, naku, medyo spoiled tong batch na to because more than 5% is defective, it has to be reworked. The cost of reworking is also part of internal failure cost. Take note, the process is already finished. Okay? You incur this cost when the process is already finished but before delivery. If it's already delivered, ayan, tapos meron pa palang cost incurred because of the quality of the product. Let's say may factory defect. So, syempre, it's covered by warranty. Isosoli yan. Okay? Those will be part of your external failure cost. Ayan. For example, ano pa ba? Naalala nyo yung Samsung na pumuputok, tapos ni-recall? Diba? Those costs will be part of your external failure cost. You know, one of the most relevant external failure costs is the one that cannot be measured in terms of money. No, kasi, for example, let's say the market is so excited for this new product, yung bagong product mo, o di-deliver mo na. And then, when it's already in the market, okay, may balita na pumuputok yung battery, ganyan. So, yung demand for this product went down because of poor performance, let's say. Syempre, these are considered as lost revenues o lost revenue, diba? Benefit forgone o parang opportunity cost din siya. It cannot be easily estimated but it's irrelevant kasi nawala yung benefit sa'yo. So, that is now your external failure costs. Okay? Methods of costing, this is just a side topic, nilagay ko lang. Actually, ang dami, pero most of the time, we have job order costing and process costing for cost accounting. Okay. Types of cost as to behavioral patterns. Okay, you have your variable cost, okay, which is driven by an activity base. We have your true variable and step variable. Okay, it's curvilinear in nature within the relevant range. It is constant per unit but increasing at a constant rate in total. Okay, so applicable po yung assumptions within relevant range. You also have your fixed cost. Okay, your committed and discretionary and step fixed cost. You have your mixed cost, yung total ng dalawa. Okay, and you have your cost function, which is A is equal to A plus BX. Where Y pala. Where Y is your total cost, A is your fixed cost, and B is your variable cost per unit. X is now your quantity or your cost driver. Okay. So, how do we separate this cost? Kunyari, binigyan tayo ng mixed cost and we have to separate them into fixed and variable. Bakit kailangan natin yon? Para mas madaling mag-estimate, okay? Especially for decision making. Okay, so first, you have your scatter graph. Okay, so look at this. Kunyari, you have your X and Y axis, your total cost and quantity axis. Okay, so i-plot mo lang. Ganun lang naman yung scatter graph, di ba? Okay, so, ang disadvantage dito, pag kokonti lang yung data mo, wala kang makikitang regression. Pero kapag padami ng padami, diba? So, makikita mo, ay parang merong doon sa gitna. So, pwede ka nang mag-draw ng, ng function mo, ng regression. Tcharan! Okay, parang madali lang. Actually, it's not that easy kasi in statistics, you still have to adjust this function so that it will result to the lowest R2, okay, or coefficient of determination. Okay, pero yeah, that's why it's also called visual fit kasi you squint your eyes tas makikita mo, uy, may line dito. Okay, so eto na yung ating fixed cost, yan yung variable cost, and that's your total cost. We don't normally use this for decision making, okay, pero para makita lang yung behavior or steepness ng cost, pwede na rin quick estimate where your fixed cost is found, okay, the behavior of your variable cost, this will do. But if you want to come up with a cost function, okay, medyo complicated ito. That's why we have your high and low method, which is the easiest. Okay, how do you do that? Okay, assuming we have the following information. You have the quantity and you have your total cost. Okay, and for January, February, March, April, and May, you have the following information. Okay, and we'd like to project, okay, how much will be the cost that we will incur in June if we are expecting to produce 160 units. So this is the actual data. Ito yung gusto nating i-project. So what do we do? First, we choose the highest and the lowest. Of course, it should be the normal operations. So we choose February and April. Get the difference, rise over run, the difference of your total cost and your total quantity. So in this case, you have 600 versus 200. And then 250 versus 50, that's 400 over 200. You get 2 pesos. That's your variable cost per unit. Now, with the variable cost per unit, you can now prostitute. You can now substitute using one of your points. It could be the highest or the lowest. Syempre, pinakamadali is the lowest. So, let's choose that. 200 will now be equal to fixed cost. As of this point, we don't know. And 2, yun yung na-compute natin kanina, times the quantity. In this case, the quantity is 50. Okay, so keep substituting, simplify your function, isolate the unknown. You'll get fixed cost equal to 100. Now you have your cost function, which you can use to forecast your cost. Okay, for June, with an expected quantity of 160, you get 420 as your expected cost. Diba? Dali-dali ng high and low method. Okay, but for this method, you are only using two observations. Kaya we expect that the coefficient of determination will be lower as compared to a method that uses all of the available observation. And that is now your LSM, your least squares method. Now, there are different ways on how you can use this, no? You have the algebraic or equation method. You can also have the statistical or formula method. I'm not a big fan of that, no? Kasi ang haba ng formula. For today, I'm going to illustrate using algebraic or equation method, wherein you're going to come up with two equations. Eto, wala pa sa mga textbooks pero pinangalanan ko na yung mga equation para madaling i-memorize. I call them A na Bex, X, Exabex. Can you say that? A na Bex, X, Exabex. Equation 1 is A na Bex. Okay? Actually, it's not letter E. Summation yan. Pero if you look at this as letter E, parang, di ba? Parang letter E, A na Bex. Summation of Y is equal to N. That's the number of observation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, fixed cost. B, for the variable cost per unit. E, or summation, and then, X, summation of X. A na Bex, equation 2, XC, X sub X. This is your second Bex, o Bex. Kaya meron siyang 2 doon. 2. Okay po, so A na Bex, XC, X sub X. So, we need the summation of x, summation of y, summation of xy, and summation of x squared. At feeling ko gutom na kayo, kinumpute ko na to in advance. This is the summation of x, summation of y, summation of xy, and summation of x squared. Okay, welcome. Now, let's try to substitute that to your equation 1. And equation 2. And then from there, we come up with equation 3. Okay, so dun tayo sa next slide. So if this is your equation 1 and equation 2, equation 3 is actually, a derivative, okay, of equation 1. No, it's not actually a derivative in terms of calculus. Paano ko ba to sabihin? Equation 1 is a precursor of equation 3. You look for a number that you can multiply with one of these numbers. Ako, I prefer dito side na to kasi in 25 years of experience, this one is easier to eliminate. The intention is to make this variable have the same values ba or expression. So, ito 770A, ito 5A. Hanap tayo ng multiplier for this equation para si 5 maging 770A. Okay, by the way, 5 is your N. That's the number of observation from January, February, March, April, and May. Okay, so divide 770 by A and you will arrive at a number which is 154. You multiply the entire equation 1 with 154 and you will get equation 3. Okay, don't forget to distribute. Ganun lang yan. Multiply this and that, you will get this. Now you have equation 2 and equation 3 to focus on. Take note na, pareho na ngayong 70-70A yan. So if you get the difference of these two equation, mai-eliminate natin si A. Now it's easier to look for the value of B. Simplify your equation and isolate the unknown. You will arrive at B equal to 2.04288816. Now that you know B, you can substitute that to any of your equations, but I prefer equation Y because this one is the shortest. Mas tipid yung pindot sa calculator, di ba? Okay, so let's choose that. Okay. Palitan natin si B nung na-compute natin na value dito. So, siya na po ito. Okay, multiply, simplify, and isolate A. You will arrive at a value of 93.3 3962. Now you have your cost function, and you can use that to forecast your June cost. So assuming that your quantity, the quantity that you will produce for June is 160, the estimated cost using this function is 420.25732. Okay, runtime natin is 1 hour and 24, almost 25 minutes. Do you have any questions so far? This will be the last slide that I will be leaving you. Okay, for this topic. Malay nyo, magdi-discuss pa ako mamaya, di ba? Sir, wag na. Pagod daw, pagod. Okay, so, ayan. Correlation versus regression. Nakita ko to na dinidiscuss sa isang klase nyo. And dinidiscuss ko rin to dun sa statistics. Pero for cost analysis lang, I just want to emphasize that for regression, we have to establish the causality of your cost and your cost driver. Okay? Kaya kagagawa ng function. Correlation, it's just the relationship. Hindi naman kailangang may cause and effect. Okay, so ayan, nilagay ko naman na yung mga Q&A dyan. Okay, so I guess that's it. Runtime, 125. Do you have any questions? Oops. Of course, I'd like to keep them. Wala na. I'll be sending a copy of the discussion board in our Canvas. Or sa GC natin. Ayan. Wala na daw. Sige, so if you don't have any questions, gusto nyo bang mag-break muna? Tapos mag-start tayo ng new topic or mamaya na yung new topic? After lunch. Next meeting. Okay, sige. So, please wait for further announcements na lang po. So, in the meantime, I'm going to save our discussion and stop the recording.